Chen Hao rushed home with the news his family had been waiting for. The hospital had finally found a matching heart for his father. All he needed was the bank card holding the treatment money, and he could take his father in for surgery before the chance disappeared. But his wife, Lin Yue, did not look relieved. Instead, her eyes shifted away from him, and her face tightened with the kind of silence that made his stomach drop. When Chen Hao urged her again to bring out the card, she finally admitted that she had already transferred the money to her own father. The words struck Chen Hao harder than any argument they had ever had. That money was not savings for comfort or pride. It was the 400,000 yuan left from selling his family's last shop, the only fund standing between his father and death. Yet Lin Yue defended herself with anger, explaining that her parents had been sued over borrowed money and were facing enforcement from the court. If she had not paid, their house would have been seized, and she treated that as if it mattered more than Chen Hao's father lying in a hospital bed. Chen Hao stood there as she threw a pillow at him, too hollow to dodge. For years, he had covered her parents' gambling debts again and again. He had swallowed the pressure, borrowed from friends, and cleaned up disasters that were never his. Now she had taken even his father's life-saving money to rescue the same people from the consequences of their gambling. Lin Yue did not show guilt. She turned the blame back on him, accusing him of being useless because he could not earn enough. She compared him to a former classmate's husband, a man who supposedly handed his wife 100,000 yuan every month, as if Chen Hao's failure to become a walking cash machine excused stealing from a dying man. Only then did Chen Hao see the marriage clearly. Since marrying Lin Yue, his salary had never been enough, because her family debts swallowed it first. She had even diverted mortgage payments to her parents, forcing him to beg friends for help just to keep their own home safe. When she was angry, she smashed the things he bought with his own exhausted labor, then scolded him for not providing more. His parents had once lived decently with 2 shops to their name, but Lin Yue had demanded a home in Shenzhen before marriage, and not just anywhere. She wanted Nanshan or nearby, where housing prices could pass 100,000 yuan per square meter. For their son's wedding, Chen Hao's parents drained their savings, sold 1 shop, borrowed heavily from relatives, and barely scraped together the down payment for a 2-bedroom apartment. After that, Chen Hao lived carefully, working hard and saving so tightly that he hesitated to buy clothes for himself. He endured, compromised, and lowered his head every time Lin Yue raised her voice. In return, her demands only grew sharper, and her contempt only became more open. When Lin Yue ordered him to stop standing there and go cook because she was hungry, something in him finally broke cleanly instead of bending again. The old Chen Hao would have apologized, begged her not to be angry, and tried to patch the house back together with his own dignity. This time she had crossed the one line he could not forgive. Chen Hao told Lin Yue that they were getting divorced, and that the court could decide how to divide the property. His voice was cold, and after saying it, he turned away because he no longer wanted to look at the woman who had treated his father's life as a spare account balance. Lin Yue exploded behind him, accepting the divorce in fury while insulting him for being a coward, and complaining that their 2-bedroom apartment was too cramped whenever her parents visited. Then she swept everything off the table, sending the household into chaos, but Chen Hao had already made his decision. The marriage that had consumed his family, his money, and his patience had finally reached its end, while his father's treatment money was gone when it was needed most. Chen Hao wandered onto the main road without knowing how he had gotten there. Rain hammered down from the dark sky, soaking him through, but the cold on his skin was nothing beside the emptiness in his chest. Thunder rolled overhead again and again, and he kept walking like a man whose soul had already left before his body caught up. A silver bolt tore across the sky and swallowed the road in blinding light. Chen Hao's body went numb, collapsed into the rain, and never rose again. Then a furious shout jolted through his mind. A sharp pain stabbed between his brows, and when Chen Hao opened his eyes, the world in front of him made no sense. His senior-year math teacher, Teacher Liu, stood at the podium glaring at him, while the classroom around him looked exactly like the one from his youth. Chen Hao was still dazed when his best friend, Zhou Kai, kicked his foot from beside him and urgently warned him to get out before he made things worse. Seeing Zhou Kai alive and young again filled Chen Hao with a joy he could barely hold in. He patted his friend's shoulder with a grin, overwhelmed by the impossible truth that he had returned to the year he was 18, when everything had not yet been ruined. Zhou Kai answered his strange excitement with confusion and a rude gesture, but he forgot they were still in class. Teacher Liu caught it immediately and threw him out as well. The 2 boys slipped through the back door together, helped by the fact that their seats were already planted beside it like they had been assigned to guard the exit. Outside the classroom, Zhou Kai complained that Chen Hao had dragged him down with him. Chen Hao only stretched his arms and breathed in the hallway air as if even punishment had become a gift. When Zhou Kai guessed that the mood had something to do with Lin Yue, Chen Hao's smile vanished. Zhou Kai was startled, but once Chen Hao made it clear the old habit had burned away, he was thrilled to see his friend finally wake up. When class ended, Chen Hao returned to the room and saw the countdown on the blackboard, Only 7 days remained before the college entrance exam. In his previous life, 9 years had passed since he last faced those papers. If he had relied only on stale memory, even 300 points would have been generous. Still, Chen Hao was not afraid. He knew enough about future trends to make money even without university. But after surviving society once, he understood that knowledge shaped how a person thought, chose, and endured pressure. If he had a chance to enter a good university again, he wanted to seize it properly. He picked up a test paper, expecting humiliation, only for his eyes to brighten as old knowledge rushed back into place. Formulas, methods, and key points that should have been buried for years resurfaced with startling clarity. In his previous life, his grades had been strong enough to enter Huagong University, a prestigious 985 institution, and now rebirth had handed him a quiet advantage he had not expected. Then he opened his backpack and saw the folded lucky stars packed inside. His good mood turned into disgust. They were meant to be Lin Yue's birthday gift, 999 paper stars, each filled with blessings from the version of him who had stayed up until 3 in the morning and then slept through class because of it. Chen Hao grabbed the backpack, walked straight to the trash can by the stairwell and dumped every paper star inside. To make sure no trace of that foolish devotion remained, he shook the bag several times before returning to class with a lighter heart. The rest of the day passed quickly. After school, Chen Hao packed only the review materials he needed and prepared to leave with Zhou Kai. Across the classroom, Lin Yue had left her heavy backpack on her desk, certain Chen Hao would carry it as usual. When Zhao Mei envied that treatment, Lin Yue dismissed it as something he chose on his own and treated him as nothing special. Then Zhao Mei noticed Chen Hao leaving through the back door with Zhou Kai, his own backpack already on his shoulders and no intention of coming over. Lin Yue looked up and saw the two boys walking down the hallway together, cheerful and completely free of her. She called after Chen Hao because she did not want to carry her own bag, and she wanted to walk home even less. Her familiar voice chilled his expression, and he turned back through the window. Lin Yue demanded to know what he had forgotten, expecting him to lower his head like always. Chen Hao only answered with cold impatience, forcing her to spell out that he was supposed to carry her backpack. This time he did not move toward her. He mocked her for acting as if she had no hands or feet, then turned and walked away without another glance, leaving her backpack and her expectations behind him. Lin Yue stood in the classroom with her chest heaving, stunned that Chen Hao had humiliated her in front of everyone. The whispers and shocked looks from their classmates pricked at her pride, and she knew that if she did not regain control now, her carefully polished image would crack in the final week before graduation. So she lifted her chin and tried to turn the situation around. Since it was her birthday, she acted as if she had been prepared to reward Chen Hao with the rare chance to eat with her and watch a movie, expecting the old Chen Hao to scramble back for any hint of attention. But Chen Hao was no longer that boy. He had already reached the front window, and when he looked back, his gaze was colder than before. He rejected the so-called opportunity with open disgust, saying that seeing her only made him nauseous, and that she should find another fool to pay for her meal and movie instead of dressing up her need for money as noble charity. Lin Yue exploded because he had struck the weakness she hid beneath her school bell image. Furious, she threw her school bag to the floor and screamed for him to leave, but the damage was already done. Her parents spent their days playing mahjong and attracted debt collectors often enough to make every knock at the door feel dangerous, so her pride had always been armor rather than confidence. Chen Hao had cracked it in front of the whole room. The classmates' amused whispers made it worse. When she yelled for them to shut up, several students snapped back, making it brutally clear that the classroom was not her private home and that not everyone cared about the school bell title. Unable to bear the embarrassment any longer, she covered her face and rushed out with tears spilling through her fingers, hating Chen Hao more with every step. Zhou Kai hooked an arm around Chen Hao's shoulder, delighted by how cleanly his friend had handled the confrontation, though he could not resist claiming Chen Hao was only cooler than him for one day. Chen Hao dismissed the comparison with easy arrogance, and the two slipped back into their old rhythm of insults, so familiar it almost felt like proof that this second life was real. Riding that good mood, Zhou Kai suggested going to an internet cafe for a few rounds, bragging about his Lee Sin plays and the flashy insect kicks he wanted to show off. Chen Hao immediately cut him down, reminding him that his best contribution would be not kicking low-health enemies away like a bronze player. With only 1 week before the exam, Chen Hao ordered him to come over that night to review instead. Zhou Kai muttered that 7 days of studying could not possibly change much, but Chen Hao gave him a quick knock on the head and bolted before his friend could retaliate. Zhou Kai shouted after him, and the two boys turned the trip home into a chase, Chen Hao riding ahead while the chubbier Zhou Kai struggled to catch up. Chen Hao did not go straight home. About 500 meters away, he stopped his bicycle and looked toward a fruit shop by the road. Shame, remorse, relief, and gratitude all rose at once, because this was his family's shop, the place his father Chen Guohai still managed in this timeline. In his previous life, Chen Guohai's illness had turned his hair white and carved deep wrinkles around his eyes. Although he had been only 54, he looked older than many men in their 60s. Now, standing before the shop window, Chen Hao saw the chance he had been given more clearly than ever. His father was 9 years younger, still strong enough to work, his hair still black, and this time Chen Hao would not let the old tragedy repeat. He wiped away the tears gathering at the corner of his eye, forced a bright smile onto his face, and ran into the fruit shop. Chen Guohai was sorting the shelves, moving fruit that was no longer fresh onto the discount table, when his son greeted him with excitement. Chen Guohai was pleasantly surprised to see him at the shop, and Chen Hao said he had come to help and ease his father's burden. Then he placed his hands on his father's shoulders and began massaging them, letting a skill he had once learned for the wrong person finally serve someone who deserved it. The effect was immediate. Chen Guohai relaxed under his son's hands and teased him for suddenly knowing how to massage his old man, but the smile on his face gave away how happy he was. Chen Hao promised that if his father wanted, he could massage him every day. Chen Guohai cared less about the massage than about his son's future. With the college entrance exam only days away, he asked whether Chen Hao felt confident. Chen Hao assured him that he could wait for an acceptance letter from a top university. His father did not crush that confidence, but he steadied it. Chen Guohai warned him not to speak too absolutely, and told him that facing an unknown challenge with total certainty could be dangerous. Doing his best was enough. The words were gentle, practical, and heavy with a father's love, giving Chen Hao the kind of support that had once stood behind him like a mountain and that he now had a second chance to protect. Chen Hao answered his father's concern seriously, saying he was no longer a child and had his own judgment now. Chen Guohai only laughed that a son would remain a child until the day he married, so Chen Hao played along and said he would try to bring home a daughter-in-law soon. His father teased that if Chen Hao had that ability, he would thank the heavens. After chatting for a while, Chen Hao rode back toward the residential compound. His family still had another shop downstairs, a small general store run by his mother, Luo Yulan. As he approached it, the excitement and nervousness he had barely controlled at the fruit shop rose again. Luo Yulan was organizing newly delivered goods when Chen Hao walked in and called out to her. She greeted him gently and told him to rest while she finished up before going upstairs to cook. But Chen Hao opened his arms and pulled her into a hug, saying he had missed her. Luo Yulan scolded him for acting shamelessly at his age, especially in public, yet the smile at the corner of her mouth betrayed her happiness. Chen Hao quickly let go, knowing his mother's generation was more reserved, then praised her for looking even more beautiful. She complained that he had learned slick talk from somewhere, but her smile only deepened. Instead of leaving her to work, Chen Hao started putting the goods onto the shelves. Luo Yulan worried that the college entrance exam was too close and urged him to rest, but he insisted that balancing study and work was healthy and told her to watch the shop while he handled the heavy items. Seeing his energy, she stopped trying to refuse. After helping at the store and talking with his mother, Chen Hao went upstairs first. He dropped his backpack, washed the rice, set the cooker, then took vegetables and lean pork from the fridge and began preparing dinner. His cooking was another skill left over from his first life, polished under pressure and now finally used at the right table. Remembering how rarely his parents had tasted his meals filled him with bitter shame. When Chen Guohai and Luo Yulan returned home and heard movement in the kitchen, they exchanged stunned looks. Their son had helped at the shop and was now cooking dinner, which was suspicious enough to make Chen Guohai wonder whether he had suffered some kind of blow. Luo Yulan guessed it might have something to do with the lucky star gift, while Chen Guohai tried to think positively and mentioned that Chen Hao had talked about bringing home a daughter-in-law. Chen Hao called them to stop whispering and sit down because dinner was nearly ready. Luo Yulan went into the kitchen expecting a disaster in the wok, but the dishes looked clean, bright, and fragrant enough to make her pause in disbelief. She praised him and Chen Hao accepted it with playful confidence, saying he was her son after all. Soon he carried out choy sum, bamboo shoots stir-fried with pork, and green peppers stir-fried with pork. He urged his parents to taste them, eager for their reaction. Chen Guohai took one bite and immediately gave a thumbs up, accidentally saying the food was even better than Luo Yulan's cooking. That careless praise almost cost him peace at the dinner table. Luo Yulan indignantly asked whether he meant her cooking was bad and told him to cook for himself from now on. Chen Guohai instantly retreated, shamelessly praising his wife instead, while Luo Yulan defended her son's cooking as top-notch anyway. Chen Hao laughed with them, surrounded by a warmth he had not felt in far too long. His eyes grew damp, but he forced the tears back. Across the table, Luo Yulan quietly wiped a tear of her own, moved by the sense that her son had suddenly grown up. Chen Hao and his father both noticed, but neither exposed her because she had her pride too. During the meal, Chen Guohai asked whether Chen Hao was being so attentive because something good had happened. Chen Hao dodged with a mischievous wink, saying it could simply be that he had finally understood how hard his parents had worked. Chen Guohai laughed and scolded him for talking nonsense, while Luo Yulan immediately defended her son's right to be sensible, forcing her husband to surrender with a smile. After dinner, Chen Hao helped Luo Yulan wash the dishes and clean the kitchen before returning to his room to review. He focused on targeted study, choosing the points most likely to matter with only a week left. Then he took out his phone, logged into QQ, opened the special care list, and deleted Lin Yue from his friends. He changed his old nickname, which had openly revolved around her name, into Thank God, because heaven had truly given him a second beginning. After that, he entered his QQ zone and batch deleted every post and status tied to Lin Yue, leaving no trace of the obsession that had once consumed him. With that digital cleanup finished, Chen Hao threw himself fully into studying. Zhou Kai arrived not long after, greeted Chen Hao's parents, and went straight to his room as naturally as family. Their parents were already used to the two boys moving in and out of each other's homes. Chen Hao gave Zhou Kai the key points he had outlined and made him study those first. Zhou Kai did not argue this time, because Chen Hao was still the top student in their class and ranked near the top 10 in the grade. The two studied until 10 o'clock before Chen Hao let him go home to the neighboring compound. The next day was Friday, the last weekend before the senior students faced the college entrance exam. By the weekend after that, the exam would be over, and their high school lives would be finished. When Chen Hao arrived at his seat, he found a pile of items stacked there. One glance was enough to recognize them. They were all the gifts he had once given Lin Yue, now returned to him in a single cold heap. A stained stuffed toy lay beside a birthday gift box with shattered glass, while unopened building blocks still sat in their original packaging. Chen Hao looked at the mess and smiled bitterly. The pile said enough about how little those gifts had mattered. Chen Hao did not let the returned gifts sit on his desk like some tragic display. He called Zhou Kai over and told him to help throw the whole pile of trash away. Zhou Kai snapped into a playful salute so dramatic that several classmates laughed, and together they carried the stained toy, broken gift box, and unopened blocks to the trash can without a trace of hesitation. Lin Yue watched the scene from across the classroom, furious enough to grind her teeth. She had returned the gifts to provoke Chen Hao and make him regret offending her, but he had tossed them away as if they were nothing more than clutter. Once again, her attempt to regain control had only left her more humiliated. The 10th school day dragged on until the final class, English. Their English teacher, young, stylish, and far more fashionable than most of the staff, entered in a purple dress with lightly curled wine-red hair catching the sunlight. Since this would be the students' last weekend as high schoolers before the college entrance exam, she decided not to review papers. Instead, she planned to try something new. Zhou Kai cheered before she even explained the activity, shamelessly praising any idea she had. The class booed him for flattering her so openly, but the teacher only smiled and revealed that she wanted to teach them a partnered dance between boys and girls. The room instantly changed. Some students grew excited, some became shy, and others began calculating opportunities with the seriousness of a final exam strategy meeting. Chen Hao remembered this class clearly from his previous life. Back then, he had been thrilled, imagining himself inviting Lin Yue to dance and holding her hand in a sweet moment that existed only in his head. Reality had been far less gentle. When he invited Lin Yue in that timeline, she rejected him with the excuse that her foot hurt and told him to dance by himself. The embarrassment would have swallowed him if a quiet classmate, Tang Yuran, had not stepped forward and volunteered to be his partner. Thinking of her, Chen Hao looked toward the back of the classroom. Tang Yuran sat in sportswear, her thick bangs hanging loose and a pair of large black-framed glasses hiding most of her face. The moment his gaze landed on her, she lowered her head like someone caught stealing a glance, her loose hair covering her flushed cheeks while her red ears gave her away completely. She had been secretly watching him. After the teacher announced the dance, Tang Yuran had instinctively looked toward Chen Hao with shy expectation, never imagining he would look back. In the past, his eyes had belonged only to Lin Yue, so even being noticed by him felt impossible. Chen Hao's mouth curved slightly. In his previous life, he had eventually learned that Tang Yuran liked him. During university, their schools were close to each other, and she often found reasons to visit him. They became close friends, and later she confessed, but he had rejected her because his heart was fixed elsewhere. Tang Yuran was actually more beautiful than Lin Yue, with a temperament that surpassed her by several levels. Her loose hair and thick glasses only sealed that beauty away. But Chen Hao knew feelings were not a beauty contest. Back then, he had not been able to see anyone else properly. This time, he withdrew his gaze with a quiet decision. He would take the initiative and invite Tang Yuran, at least to repay the kindness she had shown when she saved him from embarrassment before. The English teacher gave everyone time to choose partners and warned that anyone who failed to choose would be assigned one. That sent the classroom into even greater restlessness. Zhou Kai immediately stood up and asked to be the teacher's demonstration partner, arguing that she needed one anyway. Even Chen Hao had to admire the nerve. The class booed with special passion, because the teacher had only graduated from university 3 years earlier and carried a mature charm far more dangerous to teenage boys than any classmate could manage. Jokai had tried to seize the best spot first, and everyone knew exactly what he was doing. To their collective despair, the teacher accepted his offer. Several boys silently regretted not being shameless faster. Around the classroom, other students began inviting partners, with some girls agreeing, some hesitating, and some rejecting them without mercy. Then Chen Hao stood and walked straight toward the third group. The room noticed at once. Because Lin Yue sat in that direction, the classmates began whispering that Chen Hao must be going to her, wondering whether his cold attitude had lasted only one day before old feelings dragged him back. Zhao Mei nudged Lin Yue and warned that Chen Hao seemed to be coming over. Lin Yue, still burning from yesterday's humiliation, vowed that if she paid him any attention, she would be no better than a dog. She prepared to reject him hard in front of everyone and take back the face she had lost. The classroom gradually fell silent. Students watched Chen Hao and Lin Yue as if the next few seconds were more important than the lesson itself. Even the English teacher looked amused, enjoying the messy innocence of youth from the front of the room. But Chen Hao did not stop beside Lin Yue. Under everyone's stunned gaze, he walked past her and stopped beside Tang Yuren, who was still lowering her head and nervously playing with her hair. Tang Yuren had fallen into disappointment when she heard the whispers, convinced the same old pattern was about to repeat. More than once, she had wondered why she could not be the girl Chen Hao saw. Lost in those thoughts, she did not notice that the person she had cared about for so long was already standing beside her. Then Chen Hao's gentle voice reached her ears, asking her to be his dance partner, and Tang Yuren froze as the impossible moment finally arrived. Tang Yuren could not understand why Chen Hao had chosen her. They had only spoken a few times, and they were not even friends, but she refused to waste this rare chance by overthinking it. She softly agreed, then blushed as if she had accepted something far more serious than a classroom dance invitation. Jokai cheered first, clapping with reckless enthusiasm, and the rest of the class quickly joined in. Most of them did not care who Chen Hao chose as long as it was not Lin Yue. Chen Hao ignored the noise, thanked Tang Yuren gently, and understood that accepting in front of everyone had taken real courage from someone so shy. Across the room, Lin Yue clenched her fists. She had imagined Chen Hao coming to her so she could reject him publicly, but he had not come for her at all. Zhao Mei stayed silent, smart enough to know that one more comment would only feed the fire. The English teacher sent the chosen pairs outside to chat while the others cleared the desks. Chen Hao led Tang Yuren into the open corridor, where the sunset washed his profile in warm light. Tang Yuren stared for a second, then dropped her head the moment he turned toward her, her fingers twisting together as her heartbeat gave her away. Chen Hao teased her lightly for acting afraid, then softened the mood by calling her cute. When she grew even shyer, he added that she was also pretty and suggested thinning her heavy bangs, tying back her hair, and changing to smaller glasses so her face would not be hidden. He remembered her university transformation from his first life, when a cleaner style revealed the delicate face and bright skin her current bangs and large frames concealed. Tang Yuren took every suggestion seriously. Hearing Chen Hao call her pretty filled her with secret joy, and she decided to change her look as soon as possible, not to amaze everyone, but to amaze him. The teacher called them back before the conversation could go further. Inside, Jokai stood diagonally behind the English teacher, making faces at Chen Hao like he had won a national honor by becoming her demonstration partner. Everyone took position. Chen Hao stood diagonally behind Tang Yuren, close enough to catch the faint, clean fragrance from her hair. The teacher explained the first move. The girl had to turn halfway, meet the boy's eyes, face him, and place a hand on his shoulder. Tang Yuren nearly froze. Chen Hao noticed and gently told her to treat him like an emotionless pole, an absurd enough image to steady her breathing. She forced herself to turn, met his gaze, and immediately forgot the next step. His light teasing pulled her back, and she finally turned to face him directly, legs weak from the closeness as the dance had barely begun. Tang Yuren still could not bring herself to place her hand on Chen Hao's shoulder. Facing him had already stretched her courage thin, and touching him felt almost impossible. Chen Hao teased her by asking whether his shoulder had thorns, then urged her to move before the teacher got too far ahead. Tang Yuren finally rested her hand lightly on his shoulder, and the warmth through his clothes made her heart flutter. When the teacher taught the next move, having the girl circle the boy with cat-like steps as if he were a pillar, Tang Yuren was almost relieved to move out of his direct gaze and breathe again. Nearby, Lin Yue watched them while paired with Zhao Mei, her anger rising as Chen Hao smiled so freely with another girl. The class grew livelier with every awkward step, every accidental foot stomp, and every burst of laughter. Tang Yuren slowly relaxed too, even managing to tease Chen Hao back when he praised her coordination. Chen Hao compared her movement to a dance major's, and Tang Yuren playfully asked whether he often watched dance majors. He answered with shameless ease that he watched them daily, then turned the compliment back on her by saying none looked as good as she did. Tang Yuren protested that she meant the dancing, but Chen Hao insisted he meant the person, leaving her flustered and secretly happy. The bell ended the most memorable English class they had ever had. Chen Hao thanked Tang Yuren and suggested dancing together again another day. She huffed a refusal, but he treated it as agreement, reminded her to be careful going home, and left with Zhou Kai while laughing. Behind him, Tang Yuren smiled and quietly held him to that promise. Outside, Zhou Kai was still grinning like the day had personally crowned him. Chen Hao mocked him for looking ridiculous, but Zhou Kai only shouted that the day had been too exciting and sped toward the school gate on his bicycle. Chen Hao followed down the slope into the warm evening wind, only for his good mood to sour when he spotted Lin Yue on the back of Han Qiang's electric scooter. Han Qiang had always been trouble at school, and Chen Hao remembered enough from his first life to know the boy's charm came with a rotten reputation. Han Qiang noticed him too. With a mocking look, he swerved in front of Chen Hao's bicycle and slammed both brakes, clearly trying to force a collision. Lin Yue crashed into his back from the sudden stop, while Han Qiang looked pleased with his own cheap trick. Chen Hao had already seen the move coming. He angled his handlebars, pedaled harder instead of braking, and drove his front wheel straight into the foot Han Qiang had stretched out to steady the scooter. Han Qiang screamed. Lin Yue jumped off as the scooter tilted, and Han Qiang, already off balance from the pain, fell with the vehicle landing on his injured foot. Chen Hao immediately turned the blame back on him, accusing him of braking for no reason and warning that he would have to pay if the bicycle was damaged. Han Qiang, furious at being hurt and scolded at the same time, accused Chen Hao of rear-ending him and demanded an apology and compensation. When he pointed in Chen Hao's face, Chen Hao grabbed the finger and bent it with a crisp crack, forcing him down with another howl. Chen Hao coldly warned him not to point at him. Han Qiang lost control, threatened to kill him, and lunged forward, turning a failed roadside trick into a fight waiting to explode. Before Han Qiang could attack, Zhou Kai heard the commotion and rushed back, roaring at him for daring to touch his brother. With Chen Hao and Zhou Kai closing in from both sides, Han Qiang's courage shrank fast, and he weakly insisted that Chen Hao had rear-ended him. A traffic police siren interrupted the standoff. Han Qiang immediately acted like the victim and accused Chen Hao of hitting him and ganging up on him. But Chen Hao calmly pointed out that Han Qiang was riding an electric light motorcycle without a license or helmet. Han Qiang had bragged about that at school before, and now the boast came back with interest. The officer asked for his license, saw through his stammering, and ordered him to the station, refusing to treat being a student as an excuse. Since Chen Hao and his bicycle were unharmed, the officer let him go and took Han Qiang away instead. Lin Yue was left alone on the roadside with her heavy backpack and no ride home. Furious and wronged, she cursed both boys under her breath, then had no choice but to walk back by herself while Chen Hao left without even glancing at her. That evening, Chen Hao helped at his parents' shop, cooked dinner, and gave Chen Guohai and Luo Yulan another reason to smile over how suddenly sensible their son had become. Before bed, he saw Tang Yuren online. She had already followed his advice, trimming her thick bangs, styling the hair near her cheeks, and replacing her oversized black frames with delicate metal ones. Under the lamplight, the face she had hidden looked soft and bright, and she was staring at Chen Hao's photo while debating whether messaging him first would annoy him. Chen Hao messaged first, teasing her about whether she needed Master Chen the hairstylist to finish the job. Their chat turned playful as they joked about payment, dance partners, and his shameless compliments, until he invited her to climb a mountain the next morning. Tang Yuren agreed instantly, even before asking when or where. Chen Hao arranged to pick her up at Binjiang Community at 7:30, joking that he would arrive on his BMW, meaning his bicycle. After they said goodnight, Tang Yuren reread the chat with a smile that refused to fade. The next morning, Chen Hao woke at 6, cooked breakfast for his parents, exercised briefly, and rode toward Binjiang Community through the cool air. From a distance, he saw Tang Yuren waiting at the gate in a floral dress with a small backpack, her hair lifted by the breeze and her delicate face no longer hidden. Tang Yuren saw him riding toward her through the morning sunlight, and her smile made the day feel brighter before their trip had even begun. Chen Hao rode up to Tang Yuren with a playful smile, and acted like a flirt trying to invite a lone beauty out for fun. Tang Yuren answered in the same spirit, saying she was waiting for a handsome guy, then teased that the person was even more handsome than him. Chen Hao praised her new look, saying that if she had dressed this way earlier, Lin Yue would have had no chance at the campus queen title. Tang Yuren lightly teased him about who had spent all that time following Lin Yue around before, and Chen Hao laughed it off as youthful foolishness before presenting his bicycle as her waiting chariot. Tang Yuren sat side saddle on the padded rear seat and sincerely praised how comfortable it was. Chen Hao knew she came from wealth, lived in Binjiang Community, and even had access to a private car and assistant, yet she showed no contempt for his bicycle. That simple appreciation respected him more than many grand words could have. They set off toward Tianma Park, about 4 kilometers away, with Tang Yuan happily raising a small fist as if charging into battle. Along the way, they talked about studies, the college entrance exam, and university plans. Chen Hao still aimed for South China University of Technology, a school he cared about deeply from his first life. Tang Yuan grew a little disappointed because her grades made that goal unlikely for her. Chen Hao encouraged her by pointing out that she had scored above the first-year cutoff in all 3 mock exams, then suggested South China Agricultural University, a strong first-tier school with a beautiful campus right next to South China University of Technology. The idea of studying next door to him immediately lifted her mood and made university life feel suddenly worth looking forward to. Before long, they reached Tianma Park and walked in side by side. The park was the largest in their small city, with a river beside it and a greenway leading toward the mountain trail. But the southern summer sun was already fierce, even though it was only 8 in the morning. Seeing Tang Yuan sweating with her hair down, Chen Hao worried that sunscreen was not enough and led her to a stall selling sun hats. He chose a black one, she chose a white one, and he joked that their black and white pair was ready for hiking. Tang Yuan teased him about whether his slight build could handle the climb, and Chen Hao bragged that he could carry her up if needed. Each hat cost 5 yuan. Chen Hao paid 10, but Tang Yuan insisted on paying for his, treating even the small sun hat as their first gift to each other. The stall owner cheerfully called her his little girlfriend and praised Chen Hao's luck, making Tang Yuan blush from her face to her neck. Neither of them denied it. Chen Hao accepted the auntie's words like a blessing and led Tang Yuan away, leaving her secretly delighted by his silence. When she quietly asked why he had not corrected the misunderstanding, he turned the question back on her, and she had no answer she dared say aloud. Before her shyness could overwhelm her, Chen Hao changed the subject and asked whether she had brought a hair tie. Tang Yuan tied her hair into a ponytail, looking brighter and more spirited at once. Chen Hao praised the result simply, and her smile widened as they continued along the riverside greenway at an easy pace, neither of them in a hurry to end the peaceful morning. Chen Hao and Tang Yuan paused by the river railing, watching the water roll east. In a rare poetic mood, Chen Hao recited a line about the great river washing away heroes of the ages, making Tang Yuan quietly smile at his profile. He regretted not having a camera good enough to capture the morning, but told Tang Yuan there would be plenty of chances in the future. She carefully suggested making more plans during the upcoming break, hiding how nervous she was about his answer. Chen Hao accepted naturally and mentioned that he planned to get his driver's license, then invited her to join him. As usual, Tang Yuan agreed at once, and their teasing about sunscreen and who would tan darker carried them lightly toward the mountain stairs. Tianma Mountain was less than 200 meters high, with steps leading all the way up. They climbed side by side, sharing the sights as they went, and reached the summit without feeling tired. From the top, Chen Hao spread his arms toward the small city that held his past and second chance, and Tang Yuan followed his gesture, quietly imagining a future that already had his shadow in it. By 10:30, they began descending for lunch. Halfway down the mountain, Lin Yue and Zhao Mei were climbing up in sportswear. Zhao Mei had already complained several times about the heat, but Lin Yue had insisted on climbing because her mood had been sour for 2 days. Lin Yue was still struggling with Chen Hao's sudden distance, the loss of his nightly goodnight messages, and the classmates who no longer softened their words around her. Distracted by frustration, she missed a higher step, stubbed her toe, and fell forward. Her palms scraped against the stone steps, leaving them bleeding. Zhao Mei helped her sit down and panicked over how to get bandages halfway up the mountain. Then Chen Hao's voice came from behind as he reminded Tang Yuan to watch the steps. Zhao Mei immediately called for him, saying Lin Yue was hurt and asking him to help her down. Chen Hao frowned and stayed silent. Tang Yuan, sensing the awkwardness, stepped in kindly and offered disinfectant and bandages from her small backpack. Zhao Mei finally recognized her voice and stared in disbelief at Tang Yuan's overnight transformation, but still accepted the supplies and treated Lin Yue's hands. The disinfectant stung, yet Lin Yue gritted her teeth rather than show weakness in front of Chen Hao and Tang Yuan. Seeing them together made her even more unsettled. They had danced yesterday and were climbing together today, while she was sitting injured on the steps with someone else tending her wounds. Chen Hao saw that Lin Yue's injuries were only scrapes and a stubbed toe, not a sprain. Once Tang Yuan also realized she was not seriously hurt, Chen Hao told her they should go. Zhao Mei questioned how he could leave Lin Yue like that. Chen Hao answered coldly with a memory Zhao Mei had never heard. Once while riding Lin Yue home in the rain, he had fallen on a bridge, hit his head on the railing, bloodied half his face, cut his arms and legs and soaked himself through. Lin Yue had only scolded him for dirtying her clothes and bag before walking away. If he had been expected to push his bicycle home in that condition, Chen Hao said, then Lin Yue could walk after stubbing a toe. Zhao Mei fell silent, and Tang Yuan looked toward Chen Hao's forehead with quiet pain, finally understanding that his refusal was not cruelty. It was the bill for a kindness Lin Yue had never returned. Chen Hao left the mountain with Tang Yuren without looking back at Lin Yue. Tang Yuren, reluctant for the morning to end, suggested eating out and getting bubble tea afterward. Chen Hao agreed as long as it was convenient, so she informed her assistant while he called Chen Guohai and casually said he would eat lunch with a female classmate, hanging up before his father could interrogate him. They rode down to Food Street, joking all the way, and chose a comfortable restaurant for 2 dishes and a soup. When Chen Hao casually judged the food against his own cooking, Tang Yuren grew curious, and he promised that after the college entrance exam they could visit a farmhouse restaurant where they could cook, catch free-range chickens, fish, and even go boating near Lianshan Amusement Park. The plan made Tang Yuren quietly add another bright piece to the summer she wanted with him. After lunch, they sat by the river in a nearby park, then bought bubble tea. This time, Tang Yuren insisted on paying and set a rule that they would take turns in the future. Chen Hao accepted, noticing again how different her thoughtfulness felt from the old pattern he had already left behind. By nearly 4 o'clock, Chen Hao sent Tang Yuren back to Binjiang Community despite her reluctance. They were still students with the college entrance exam days away, so the day had to end before it became too sweet to explain. Chen Hao returned to the fruit shop, where Chen Guohai immediately teased him about the mysterious female classmate and why he had not brought her over for fruit. Chen Hao dodged with a smile, helped sort the less fresh fruit, then went to Luo Yulan's grocery store to help with heavy and high-shelf items. While working, Chen Hao suggested adding home delivery for customers who bought over a certain amount. Luo Yulan first worried that she and Chen Guohai had no spare hands and that hiring someone might cost too much. But Chen Hao explained that better service would encourage customers to buy more and make young people nearby more loyal. She agreed to let him try deliveries after the exam and hire help if it worked. The weekend passed quickly. By Monday, only 3 days of revision remained before the college entrance exam. Soon after Chen Hao entered class, Tang Yuren walked in with her new hairstyle, smaller glasses, and fully revealed face. The classroom went still. Several students stared, unable to connect this beautiful girl with the quiet classmate they thought they knew. When a front row student gently told her she had entered class 1 by mistake, Tang Yuren identified herself, and the room erupted into disbelief. No one had realized that Tang Yuren had been hiding this much brightness in plain sight. The classroom erupted the moment Tang Yuren revealed who she was. Students who had barely noticed her before now stared as if she had changed identities over the weekend, and a few immediately crowned her the new campus queen. Tang Yuren lowered her head and hurried to her seat, unused to being watched by the whole room. Chen Hao spoke up before the teasing went too far, warning everyone not to scare her. That only made the class joke that he had already started protecting her. But the noise soon faded because the college entrance exam was too close for anyone to waste much time. The room sank into final revision. Tang Yuren focused on the key points Chen Hao had sent her through QQ, copying and reviewing them carefully. His offer to answer anything she did not understand gave her more than study help. It gave her confidence. On Wednesday, the school closed to prepare the exam rooms. Chen Hao spent the day revising at home, while Chen Guohai and Luo Yulan stayed with him instead of opening their shops. His parents were more nervous than he was, refusing to let him cook and treating the exam as if the whole family were entering the battlefield together. That night, Tang Yuren messaged him good luck and reminded him to rest early and bring his exam materials. The next morning, his parents prepared a rich breakfast, checked his admission ticket again and again, and wanted to send him off. But Chen Hao told them to wait at home for good news. Zhou Kai was already waiting at the residential complex gate, grumbling that Chen Hao was not early enough for the biggest exam of their lives. Chen Hao dismissed the pressure with confidence, and the two rode to know one middle school through crowds of anxious parents, giving their children last-second instructions like they could pour 12 years of effort into one more sentence. Chen Hao told Zhou Kai to go in first because he was waiting for someone. Zhou Kai immediately guessed Tang Yuren and mocked him for choosing romance over friendship before heading inside. Soon an alpha had arrived and Tang Yuren stepped out. She saw Chen Hao waving and jogged over with a bright smile. As they entered the exam center together, her assistant Jiang Ning watched from the car with shock and concern, wondering when Tang Yuren had become so close to a boy and whether her family needed to know. Chen Hao and Tang Yuren separated for different exam rooms. When the first Chinese paper was handed out, Chen Hao scanned it and found the tested points matched his memory and preparation. Zhou Kai's eyes widened in another room, and Tang Yuren's eyes lit up too, because the questions felt strikingly familiar from Chen Hao's guidance. Chen Hao finished calmly, checked his answers, and submitted early. Reporters swarmed him outside the gate, asking about the paper's difficulty and the essay topic. He answered with perfect uselessness, saying enough to sound cooperative while revealing almost nothing, then escaped to wait by his bicycle. When Zhou Kai finally came out with the crowd, he was bursting with excitement and nearly worshipped Chen Hao on the spot. Tang Yuren soon jogged over as well, smiling so brightly that Zhou Kai realized he had become background scenery. As Chen Hao and Tang Yuren encouraged each other for the afternoon exam, Zhou Kai complained that neither of them had even noticed he was still there, then rode away in wounded dignity. After the first exam, Chen Hao told Tang Yuren to rest well and rode away while she watched until he disappeared. Jiang Ning teased her out of the daze, but Tang Yuren's blush said everything. Jiang Ning was now worried about reporting to her family. The remaining exams passed smoothly. Chen Hao submitted early again and again, until even the reporters hesitated to interview him after his earlier talent for saying plenty while revealing nothing. When the final English exam ended, Chen Hao walked out first and breathed in the campus air, knowing the next time he returned to No. 1 middle school, it would be as an alumnus. A reporter still approached him, asking whether he had enough confidence to become the city's top scorer. Chen Hao answered with a calm arrogance that he would leave first place for someone who needed it more and take second instead. He had intentionally missed a couple of multiple-choice questions, because he remembered the student from No. 2 High who had become the city top scorer in his first life despite crushing family hardship. That honor had brought public support, justice, and a way forward for that student's family. Chen Hao had future knowledge and other paths to success. He did not need to steal that lifeline. Zhou Kai came out half an hour later and confirmed the class gathering that night before wisely leaving when Tang Yuren ran over. She and Chen Hao encouraged each other with easy smiles, while Zhou Kai once again accepted his fate as the forgotten third person. That evening, Chen Hao and Zhou Kai rode to the KTV for the post-exam class reunion. Tang Yuren was already waiting outside in a custom dress that made the neon lights look dull, while a few boys who considered approaching her retreated the moment Jiang Ning's sharp gaze landed on them. Chen Hao greeted Jiang Ning politely, pretending not to know her from his first life. She studied him closely and found him calmer than an ordinary high school boy, then told him to take good care of Tang Yuren. Chen Hao agreed and led Tang Yuren inside. Zhou Kai, never one to fear embarrassment when beauty was involved, tried to charm Jiang Ning by claiming that a classmate's sister was his sister too, and asking to exchange QQ numbers. Jiang Ning coldly told the little boy to focus on studying, and Zhou Kai protested that he was already an adult. Chen Hao, remembering exactly how dangerous Jiang Ning could be, dragged his reckless friend away before confidence turned into a medical expense. Inside the KTV room, the class reunion was already loud enough to make the microphones seem like weapons. Some students asked whether Chen Hao had done well, but he brushed off exam talk and declared the night was only for fun. Zhou Kai immediately backed him up by turning the mood-killer comment into an excuse for drinking. Chen Hao and Tang Yuren sat close together, and even a small sip of beer made her face glow under the lights. He gently told her to switch to soft drinks if she could not handle alcohol, half joking that Jiang Ning might throw him over her shoulder if Tang Yuren got drunk under his watch. The room kept stealing glances at them. Tang Yuren's careful outfit made her beauty impossible to ignore, while Chen Hao's grades, looks, and calm presence drew attention from the girls. But the two sat so naturally together that most classmates gave up before embarrassing themselves. Then Lin Yue arrived with Zhao Mei, dressed just as carefully in a purple dress and pearl jewelry, holding herself like a proud black swan. The room's attention shifted at once toward the triangle everyone wanted to understand. Chen Hao noticed her, gave one indifferent glance, and looked away. Lin Yue saw him chatting closely with Tang Yuren, and resentment flashed through her. She had never been his girlfriend, yet she looked at Tang Yuren like someone had stolen what belonged to her. Worse, Tang Yuren's looks, grades, family background, and temperament all struck the exact places Lin Yue could not defend. Trying to swallow her frustration, Lin Yue grabbed a drink and gulped it down, only to choke and spray it out almost immediately. Zhao Mei urged her to slow down, but Lin Yue kept drinking anyway, making her bitterness more obvious than the alcohol. The room soon split into small groups. Chen Hao, Tang Yuren, Zhou Kai, and several top students discussed university applications. Chen Hao still planned for South China University of Technology, while Tang Yuren hesitated between chasing the same school and choosing the major she truly wanted. Chen Hao noticed her silence and decided to talk with her later instead of pushing her in front of everyone. After suffering through two classmates' disastrous singing, Zhou Kai finally demanded the microphones and then immediately handed them to Chen Hao and Tang Yuren. The class booed and cheered at the obvious setup. Tang Yuren froze with the microphone in her hand, shy enough to treat public singing like a trial, but the chance to sing with Chen Hao mattered more. When Chen Hao gently asked what song she wanted, she let him choose. He picked Choral C, and Zhou Kai, fully committed to his role as wingman, selected it before either of them could retreat. As the familiar prelude to Choral C began, Tang Yuren's panic slowly settled. She knew the song by heart because Chen Hao once mentioned liking Jay Chu, and that had been enough for her to listen again and again until the music became part of her private longing. Chen Hao sang first, his voice low and emotional enough to quiet the noisy room. When Tang Yuren joined in, her clear voice carried a soft sorrow that made the duet feel less like a performance and more like a confession neither of them dared name. Their eyes met through the song, and Lin Yue drank harder from the side, finally feeling the regret she had never expected to taste. The song ended to loud applause. The class demanded another, but Chen Hao saw Tang Yuren's courage had already run out and handed both microphones to Zhou Kai instead. Zhou Kai accepted like a superstar, then immediately proved that confidence and singing talent had tragically never met. By 10 o'clock, the gathering began to break apart. Chen Hao left with Tang Yuren and Zhou Kai, while Tang Yuren quietly wished the walk to the exit could last longer. Jiang Ning's car was already waiting outside, and Chen Hao reminded Tang Yuren to sign up for driving school with him the next day. She told him to message her when he got home, then watched him from the car until he disappeared. Jiang Ning saw everything in the rearview mirror and knew Tang Yuren's feelings were no small matter. Whether Tang Yuren liked it or not, Jiang Ning decided she had to report this to Tang Yuren's mother, Lan Shuhua. Because Chen Hao and Zhou Kai had both drunk alcohol, they pushed their bicycles home instead of riding. At home, Chen Guohai and Luo Yulan were still awake. Chen Hao admitted the reunion had been fun but carried the sadness of farewell, and Chen Guohai handed him money for his driver's license as an advance on the delivery wages Chen Hao had promised to earn after the exam. Chen Hao messaged Tang Yuren that he was home safe, arranged to pick her up at Binjiang Community at 8 the next morning, then went to sleep. The next day, Tang Yuren was already waiting at the gate when Chen Hao arrived. She climbed onto the back of his bicycle with a bright smile, and they met Zhou Kai at the driving school. After registration, the instructor let them try the car. Zhou Kai volunteered first, only to stall the engine almost immediately, then stall again while fumbling towards second gear. The instructor still praised his talent with the same practiced line he used on every beginner, and Zhou Kai proudly accepted it as divine recognition. Chen Hao took the driver's seat after Zhou Kai's stalled performance, and Zhou Kai cheerfully warned him that stalling was normal. Chen Hao only smiled, shifted into gear, and moved the car smoothly enough to make the instructor's routine praise turn real. At the instructor's request, Chen Hao accelerated, shifted, followed the course past the S-curve, right-angle turn, hill start, side parking, and reverse parking with a calmness no true beginner should have. The instructor stared as if he had found a natural-born driver, while Zhou Kai looked at Chen Hao like perfection had become personally offensive. Tang Yuren admired him openly, and Zhou Kai complained that even driving school had become a place for the two of them to feed everyone romance. When the instructor casually called Tang Yuren Chen Hao's little girlfriend, Chen Hao did not deny it, and Tang Yuren lowered her head with a blush that said more than any answer. Tang Yuren chose to learn manual because Chen Hao was learning it too. Her own first drive was steady and careful, with no stalls, surprising everyone again. After the trial session, the three left to wait for Subject 1, which would not be difficult for students fresh out of the college entrance exam. Chen Hao escorted Tang Yuren back to Binjiang Community. She eagerly asked when they would go to the amusement park, and he promised it would be soon, before he got busy helping his family shops with deliveries. When she offered to help, Chen Hao called her silly and gently pinched her nose before realizing how intimate the gesture was. He fled first, while Tang Yuren laughed softly at his sudden panic. Then Tang Yuren turned and froze. Her mother Lan Shuhua was standing there with Jiang Ning. Lan Shuhua teased that if she had not come back, her precious daughter might have been stolen away, but behind the joke she had already seen enough. Jiang Ning's apologetic look told Tang Yuren the report had been made. That evening Chen Hao cooked dinner, ate with his parents, and headed out with a quiet excitement he could barely suppress. In his first life, Han Qiang had bought scratch-off lottery tickets the day after the exam and won 1 million yuan, then bragged about the exact shop in the alumni group. Chen Hao reached that lottery shop at noon, hours before Han Qiang's remembered win time. If he took this prize first, his next plans would move much faster, and stealing Han Qiang's luck gave him no guilt at all. Inside the shop, Chen Hao asked how many scratch-offs were left. The owner counted 9s. Chen Hao bought all of them for 90 yuan, took a breath, and began scratching with 1 million yuan hanging on the edge of the blade. The first scratch-off won 20 yuan. Another won 100. But with only 2 cards left, Chen Hao forced himself steady, scratched the next one row by row, and finally saw the number he had come for. 1 million yuan. The shop owner thought he was joking until he checked the card himself. Once the prize was confirmed, envy filled his face as he told Chen Hao to take his ID card, bank card, and ticket to the city lottery center. Chen Hao collected the smaller winnings, rode home for his documents, and soon had 800,000 yuan deposited into his account after tax. The money was enough to unlock the next stage of his plans. He knew the stock market would surge the following year, but before making bigger moves, he needed to strengthen the family business without shocking his parents with a sudden fortune. Chen Hao printed home delivery flyers and posted them in both family shops, advertising delivery for purchases over 20 yuan. Luo Yulan worried that a bicycle would be too tiring, so Chen Hao used her 2,000 yuan to buy an electric scooter, added a basket to the back, and quietly kept the lottery win hidden for now. The idea worked almost immediately. Young customers noticed the service. The first order came in for beer, peanuts, and melon seeds, and soon the fruit shop needed deliveries too. Chen Hao rode through the neighborhood he knew by heart, charming customers with quick service and easy compliments, until several promised to buy from his family again. That night when a call came after hours for cigarettes, Luo Yulan nearly refused, but Chen Hao took the order. Chen Guohai worried it was unsafe, yet Chen Hao insisted he had to face society sooner or later. His parents finally let him go, proud and anxious at the same time. Orders kept coming from both shops until 9:30. When Chen Hao returned, tired but smiling, Luo Yulan wanted to cook him something. He brushed it off, saying his parents were the ones who truly worked hard, and the simple words nearly made her choke up. Over the next day, word of the delivery service spread fast, helped by Chen Hao asking every satisfied customer to recommend the shops. Business grew better, cash came in steadily, and the family celebrated with a good meal. Chen Hao was busier than ever, but he did not mind. The 1 million yuan was his hidden seed money. The delivery service was his family's first visible upgrade, and even Zhou Kai had unknowingly become part of the plan. Chen Hao was already preparing to borrow his best friend's labor for deliveries when he went out with Tang Yuran, while Zhou Kai sneezed at home, completely unaware that hard work was coming for him. After another day of deliveries, Chen Hao spent the night chatting with Tang Yuran, who had gone to the beach in a neighboring city and sent him photos. He teased that the pictures were missing a swimsuit, and though she scolded him as shameless, the next day she still sent him private pool photos in a one-piece suit that nearly broke his composure. Tang Yuran shyly explained that the photos were taken at a private pool, and Chen Hao told her to show them only to him. She agreed obediently, leaving him so energized that even a full day of deliveries felt lighter. The delivery business kept growing. Chen Hao had the shops advertised in the owners' group, and families began ordering heavier goods and fruit for elderly relatives and children at home. Sales at both shops doubled, and Luo Yulan praised her son's sharp mind every night while counting the cash. After 2 days apart, Chen Hao and Tang Yuran both missed each other more than they wanted to admit. Since mobile QQ still could not do video calls, Tang Yuran decided to return early. Chen Hao invited her to a movie that evening, and she agreed immediately, confident she could handle her mother's questions. At 7 that night, Zhou Kai arrived at Chen Hao's home grumbling that he had been dragged into delivery labor, while Chen Hao went on a date. Chen Hao bought his loyalty with the promise of carrying him to silver in their game, and Zhou Kai transformed from victim to righteous volunteer with impressive speed. The electric scooter stayed with him for deliveries, while Chen Hao rode his bicycle to Binjiang community. Tang Yuran was waiting at the gate in a white dress. The moment they saw each other, both smiled too openly to hide anything. She climbed onto the back seat, and Chen Hao rode toward the commercial plaza. From a villa rooftop, Lan Shuhua watched her daughter leave on the back of his bicycle, and understood why Tang Yuran had rushed home. It was not homesickness. It was lovesickness. She ordered Jiang Ning to follow them. Chen Hao took Tang Yuran to the cinema on the top floor of the commercial plaza and bought tickets for a racing movie, while Tang Yuran insisted on buying popcorn and drinks so he would not pay for everything. They sat together in the lounge, talking about the 2 days they had missed, unaware that Tang Yuran's mother was already tracking the date from behind. Lan Shuhua watched from a distance as Chen Hao and Tang Yuran laughed together in the cinema lounge, jealousy mixing with worry. Her daughter was rarely this happy with her, and the boy on the bicycle had clearly stolen more than an evening. Inside the theater, Chen Hao and Tang Yuran sat in the middle rows with popcorn and drinks between them. The racing movie pulled them in, but Tang Yuran kept stealing glances at his profile, and every brush at the shared armrest made her heart jump. When she offered him popcorn, Chen Hao opened his mouth for her to feed him. Tang Yuran blushed but did it anyway, and he teased that this handful tasted better than the rest. Later, he accidentally drank from her cup without realizing it, giving Tang Yuran an indirect kiss that left her too shy to explain until the movie ended, and he finally noticed his own drink untouched on the other side. By the time they left the mall, it was already 10 o'clock. At the main entrance, Lan Shuhua and Jiang Ning appeared in front of them as if by coincidence. Chen Hao recognized Tang Yuran's mother from his first life, but calmly pretended not to know her. Tang Yuran introduced Chen Hao as her classmate and good friend. Chen Hao greeted Lan Shuhua politely, praising her so naturally that she looked more like Tang Yuran's older cousin than her mother. Lan Shuhua saw through the sweet tongue, but even she could not completely dislike the compliment. Then her expression sharpened. She pressed Chen Hao about his intentions in taking her daughter out so late, releasing the authority of a woman used to command. Chen Hao did not flinch. He answered calmly that they had only watched a movie, neither guilty nor defensive. That steadiness made Lan Shuhua reassess him. But before she could push further, Tang Yuran grew angry and defended Chen Hao, insisting he was her friend, not a prisoner under interrogation. Lan Shuhua immediately softened, realizing her daughter's heart had already turned outward, and apologized for worrying too much. Chen Hao chose the right moment to leave, handing Tang Yuren safely back to her mother. Tang Yuren reminded him to message when he got home, then watched him ride away until he vanished. Lan Shuhua could only tease her for staring after someone already gone. As Chen Hao rode home, the meeting settled heavily in his mind. Tang Yuren's family background was no ordinary wall. If he wanted to stand beside her without being crushed by that distance, he needed real ability, real money, and no delay. Chen Hao knew his next opening would arrive soon. In his first life, his cousin Chen Feng had borrowed 50,000 yuan from Chen Guohai to start an online clothing wholesale business in Guangzhou, then turned that small start into serious profits. With 800,000 yuan now hidden in his own account, Chen Hao planned to enter early and play much bigger. 2 days later, Chen Feng came exactly as remembered. After hearing his plan, Chen Guohai lent him 50,000 yuan out of family trust. Before Chen Feng could leave for Guangzhou, Chen Hao pulled him aside, making his cousin assume he wanted college advice. Instead, Chen Hao offered to invest 500,000 yuan into the wholesale business. Chen Feng first thought exam pressure had broken his cousin's mind, until Chen Hao showed the lottery tax receipt and offered to verify the balance at the bank. Chen Feng grew serious. He warned that business carried risk and that such a large investment should be discussed with Chen Hao's parents. Chen Hao argued that online shopping was the future, that older generations would struggle to accept the chance, and that this secret could let them seize a rare window before it closed. Chen Feng finally chose ambition over hesitation, but insisted on clear accounts even between relatives. They wrote and signed 2 copies of an investment contract, then went to the bank, where Chen Hao transferred 500,000 yuan into Chen Feng's account. With capital and pressure now on his shoulders, Chen Feng thanked him and boarded the bus to Guangzhou. Chen Hao returned to deliveries with a new plan forming. Once he got his driver's license, he would go to Guangzhou and work with Chen Feng directly. That evening, a Mercedes-Benz business van blocked his way after a delivery. Chen Hao recognized it immediately. Lan Shuhua stepped out and invited him to talk in the car. Inside, she tested him with the quiet pressure of Tang Yuren's family background. Chen Hao did not pretend love alone could erase the distance between them. He admitted his family was far behind hers, but said no one was born rich and that he would prove himself through results, not empty talk. Lan Shuhua warned that money was not easy to earn, but his calm confidence impressed her. More importantly, Tang Yuren rarely cared about anyone, so Lan Shuhua told Chen Hao not to make her daughter sad. Chen Hao promised he would not. Lan Shuhua then added him on QQ so he could contact her if anything happened to Tang Yuren, admitting with guilt that her daughter often hid her feelings because her parents had cared too little. When Chen Hao left the car, Lan Shuhua watched him go, waiting to see whether this boy could truly produce the results he had promised. Lan Shuhua returned to Shenzhen without Tang Yuren, who refused to leave. That night, Tang Yuren hinted to Chen Hao that the amusement park plan was free to begin, and he promised they would go after the Subject 1 exam. The next day, Chen Hao, Tang Yuren, and Zhou Kai passed Subject 1 easily. Zhou Kai fled after the exam to avoid becoming a third wheel, leaving Tang Yuren to treat Chen Hao to lunch before he returned to deliveries. That night, Chen Hao recruited Zhou Kai to cover another shift, and despite loud complaints, Zhou Kai accepted once he learned Tang Yuren was involved. The following morning, Tang Yuren arrived in Jiang Ning's car to pick Chen Hao up. At the amusement park, Jiang Ning tactfully stayed outside while Chen Hao bought tickets, and Tang Yuren pulled him inside with open excitement. She even made him use sunscreen before they ran through every ride the small city park had to offer. The rides were not grand, but their happiness made them feel bigger. They shouted on the roller coaster, crashed through bumper cars, rode the Ferris wheel, and smiled at each other above the city as if the whole place belonged to their youth. Chen Hao praised Tang Yuren's careful outfit, and when she asked whether she was only beautiful today, he answered that she was beautiful every day, just in different ways. By noon, they had finished the park and went to a farmhouse restaurant, so Chen Hao could fulfill his promise to cook for her. Tang Yuren insisted on paying this time, then followed him to the back mountain to catch a free-range chicken despite the heat and her dress. The chickens proved far more skilled at survival than expected. Chen Hao and Tang Yuren chased them across the mountain, raising dust and laughter but catching nothing, until Jiang Ning appeared holding a chicken herself, ending the hunt with professional efficiency. On the way down, Tang Yuren's thin-soled white sneakers slipped. She nearly fell backward, but Chen Hao turned in time, caught her by the waist, and pulled her against him. For one breath, neither of them moved. Their bodies pressed together, close enough to feel warmth, heartbeat, and breath, and the whole noisy world seemed to vanish around them. Chen Hao and Tang Yuren froze in each other's arms until Jiang Ning's anxious shout snapped them back. Chen Hao finally realized he was still holding Tang Yuren by the waist and let go awkwardly, while she lowered her head and thanked him in a voice too soft to hide her shyness. Jiang Ning rushed up the slope like the former Special Forces soldier she was, checked that Tang Yuren was unharmed, and shot Chen Hao a warning glance before leading them down. The chicken she had caught earlier was gone, but she simply caught another one, because some people complained about problems and Jiang Ning solved them. After handing the chicken to the farmhouse staff, Chen Hao took Tang Yuren fishing. She had never fished before, but with his guidance, she caught a tilapia almost immediately and glowed with excitement. Their laughter carried across the pond as they pulled up fish after fish, keeping only a grass carp and one tilapia before releasing the rest. Jiang Ning secretly filmed Tang Yuren's joy and sent it to Lan Shuhua. In Shenzhen, Lan Shuhua smiled at her daughter's happiness, then forwarded the video to Tang Yuren's father, Tang Zhen. Tang Zhen stormed into her office less than 20 seconds later, furious that some boy was already so close to his precious daughter. Lan Shuhua stopped him from rushing back, reminding him that Tang Yuren had refused to live with them because she still carried resentment from the past. When Tang Yuren and her grandmother had needed them most, they had missed her grandmother's final moments for the company's sake. Tang Zhen's anger collapsed into guilt, leaving both parents silent with the same old regret. Back at the farmhouse, Chen Hao had no idea he had just been placed on an angry father's watch list. Once the chicken and fish were prepared, he took over the stove and cooked ginger scallion chicken, steamed grass carp with enoki mushrooms, braised tilapia, and stir-fried greens. The dishes came out fragrant and polished enough to make even Jiang Ning look at him differently. Tang Yuren served Chen Hao first, thanking him sweetly for cooking, and he served her in return before belatedly remembering Jiang Ning was also at the table. Jiang Ning dryly noted that she had wondered whether he could see her at all, leaving both teenagers too embarrassed to answer. Tang Yuren tasted every dish and praised him without holding back. Chen Hao only smiled and told her to eat more, while the meal quietly proved what words could not. He was no ordinary boy trying to borrow a rich girl's attention. He could build, protect, and provide with his own hands. After the meal, Tang Yuren kept praising Chen Hao's cooking until he nearly went back to the kitchen, but she stopped him before affection turned into food waste. He took her to play billiards next, teaching her patiently until her first clean shot lit up her face like she had just won a championship. They moved from billiards to the KTV room and spent the afternoon singing Jay Chu songs together, their voices drifting through the weak soundproofing and drawing praise from people outside. By 4 o'clock, they finally left the farmhouse, and Chen Hao only discovered at checkout that Jiang Ning had already paid, clearly under Tang Yuren's instructions. She still refused to let him spend money on her. Jiang Ning drove him back to his family's grocery store, where Zhou Kai was loading another delivery basket under the brutal sun. His clothes were soaked, his skin had darkened from a single hard day, and Tang Yuren's smile faded as she imagined Chen Hao doing the same work every day. Chen Hao invited Tang Yuren inside while Zhou Kai rode off with the order, grinning like he had just discovered world-class gossip. Luo Yulan came out the moment she saw her son with such a beautiful girl, pulled Tang Yuren warmly into the shop, and began asking about her family before Chen Hao gently stopped the interrogation. His mother retreated only after learning Tang Yuren was his classmate and only child, and lived in Binjiang community, which was apparently enough evidence for a mother's imagination to start building castles. Tang Yuren stayed only a short while before leaving with Jiang Ning, but Luo Yulan still tried to keep her for dinner and made her promise to visit again. Once the car disappeared, Luo Yulan turned her full curiosity on Chen Hao, but he dodged by asking about business. Business had exploded. Their delivery service was the only one nearby, orders kept increasing, and Zhou Kai had been running non-stop. Luo Yulan reminded Chen Hao to pay him properly, because friendship was not a reason to let a brother melt in the sun for free. When Zhou Kai returned drenched in sweat, Chen Hao poured him tea, slipped him 100 yuan, and took over the next deliveries himself. Later, Zhou Kai discovered the money and angrily accused Chen Hao of staining their brotherhood with cash, so Chen Hao settled the matter the only way Zhou Kai could forgive. He carried him through his promotion games and dragged him into silver rank. By the end of the night, the grocery store had gained a booming business. Luo Yulan had gained new gossip, Zhou Kai had gained a rank, and Chen Hao had gained one more sign that this reborn life was finally moving under his own control. Chen Hao slept hard after the long day, then woke to another life that finally felt ordered instead of wasted. He told his parents he was going to driving school, rode to Binjiang community, and found Tang Yuren waiting in a neat tracksuit, already prepared with sunscreen for him before the summer sun could claim another victim. At the driving school, Zhou Kai joined them, but the instructor quickly discovered Chen Hao drove like someone with years of experience. After one flawless round, the instructor happily handed the teaching work to him and went off to drink tea, because wisdom sometimes means recognizing free labor when it parks in front of you. Chen Hao guided Tang Yuren and Zhou Kai through the practice points all morning. They learned fast past subject 2 5 days later and moved straight into road practice, with the next exam scheduled for the following week. Between driving lessons, deliveries, and nightly messages with Tang Yuren, Chen Hao's days became exhausting but steady. Meanwhile, Chen Feng reported that he had rented a small warehouse and found a jeans supplier in Zhangcheng. Chen Hao promised to go to Guangzhou and help once he got his license, while his family also prepared to hire help for the delivery business. He could build the grocery store now, but university was still waiting. Then the college entrance examination results arrived. Chen Guohai and Luo Yulan sat beside the computer sweating with nerves, while Chen Hao refreshed the crashed website again and again until the page finally loaded. His score appeared 712. The room exploded. Luo Yulan nearly fainted from joy. Chen Guohai trembled with pride, and the number was high enough for Tsinghua University or Peking University. Chen Hao stayed calm, took a photo, and sent it to Tang Yuran, only to receive her result at the same time. She had scored 659, strong enough to choose almost any university in Guangdong. Tang Yuran admired his score and wanted to follow him to South China University of Technology, but Chen Hao reminded her that her real passion was horticulture, and that South China Agricultural University suited her better. When she hesitated because she wanted to stay near him, he reassured her that the two schools were close enough for regular visits. Her future did not need to shrink just to stand beside his. Zhou Kai scored 585, enough to make his parents celebrate wildly and plan a feast for the relatives. Chen Hao's own parents began calling the whole family with the news, already preparing a graduation banquet for the son who had given them pride they had never dared to imagine. Across the class group chat, everyone saw the score that separated Chen Hao from the crowd. Lin Yue saw it too, sitting alone while her parents played mahjong elsewhere. Her own score barely passed 400, and as envy, anger, and regret tangled on her face, one truth became impossible to ignore. The boy she once looked down on was already walking a road she could no longer reach. The class group chat erupted after Chen Hao's score spread. His homeroom teacher praised him as first in the school and second in the city, while the principal's commendation made every other senior-year teacher stare with envy. Chen Hao accepted the congratulations calmly, then returned to chatting with Tang Yuran, whose attention mattered more to him than the noise around the ranking. He told her he planned to go to Guangzhou and help Chen Feng with clothing wholesale, and Tang Yuran immediately wanted to go along under the excuse of sightseeing. Chen Hao understood the real reason and felt a quiet sweetness settle in his chest. In this life, the person walking toward him was not asking him to burn himself down. The next morning, Chen Hao, Tang Yuran, and Zhou Kai all passed their road test, leaving only the final written exam before they could get their driver's licenses. After dropping Tang Yuran home, Chen Hao ate quickly and rode with Chen Guohai and Luo Yulan back to their mountain hometown to personally share the good news. The rough 2-hour drive ended at a house already packed with relatives. Chen Hao's grandparents, Chen Shaoran and Yi Meifeng, welcomed him like the pride of the entire family, while uncles, aunts, and neighbors crowded in to congratulate the first key university student their branch had ever produced. Even when everyone regretted that he did not plan to choose Tsinghua University or Peking University, they respected his decision to stay in Guangdong and apply to South China University of Technology. The next day, the village turned his achievement into a full banquet. Chen Guohai and Luo Yulan bought supplies before dawn, relatives and neighbors helped set up 30 tables, and the whole courtyard filled with celebration. Chen Hao sent Tang Yuran a photo, only to learn that she was holding her own university banquet at the best hotel in the city, surrounded by relatives, business partners, and city leaders. Zhou Kai's banquet also happened that day, so all three friends missed one another's celebrations by fate and a very crowded calendar. They agreed to gather properly after the final written exam, when the licenses and banquets were finally behind them. After Chen Hao's family finished cleaning up, they still made a formal visit to Luo Yulan's parents in the neighboring village. His maternal grandparents proudly led him around like living proof that the family name had risen, showing him off to every neighbor who would listen. By evening, Chen Hao returned to the city and messaged Tang Yuran that he was back. She admitted she wanted to see him, and he did not hesitate. After a day of being celebrated by everyone else, he chose the one person he wanted to see most and went to find her. Tang Yuran dressed carefully before rushing out, leaving Jiang Ning behind because she did not want Chen Hao waiting outside for even a second. Chen Hao arrived on his electric scooter like the wind itself had been hired for delivery, braking sharply in front of her until she scolded him for riding too fast. He promised to be careful, and she gently fixed his wind-blown hair with a natural ease that would have made the old Chen Hao forget how to breathe. When Chen Hao asked where they should go, Tang Yuran gathered her courage and invited him to her home to watch a movie. Her parents had already returned to Shenzhen, and the resentment in her voice made the huge villa ahead feel less like a palace and more like a beautiful empty shell. The security guard let them into villa number 1 without question. Inside, Chen Hao saw 6-meter ceilings, grand wall paintings, rosewood furniture worth millions, and every symbol of wealth City could fit under one roof. In his previous life, this gap would have crushed him, but now he only measured it calmly. He had been reborn with knowledge, discipline, and a future he intended to build himself. Jiang Ning panicked silently when Tang Yuren brought him inside. She could handle attackers with force, but a polite teenage boy in the living room was a much more confusing battlefield. Tang Yuren gave Chen Hao a tour of the villa, from the indoor pool and library to the theater, wine cellar, recreation room, and backyard pool. Yet when she admitted that a home only mattered if it felt warm, Chen Hao understood the loneliness hidden behind all that polished wood and glass. In the recreation room, he noticed the piano and asked her to play. Tang Yuren sat before the keys with quiet nervousness, then played Sunny Day. The music softened the room, and Chen Hao watched her with open tenderness as the girl who had once seemed distant now played only for him. Jiang Ning secretly recorded the scene and sent it to Lan Shuhua. On the highway back to Shenzhen, Lan Shuhua showed the video to Tang Zhen, whose protective fury ignited the moment he saw Chen Hao staring at his daughter. He wanted the driver to turn around immediately and threatened to settle accounts with the boy himself. Lan Shuhua stopped him with sharper sense than anger, reminding him that rushing back would take hours, and that Tang Yuren bringing Chen Hao home was safer than hiding outside. Tang Zhen still burned with jealousy and suspicion, but Lan Shuhua knew the real danger was mishandling the first boy their daughter had willingly let into her lonely world. Chen Hao had no idea Tang Zhen was already ready to defend his daughter from 3 hours away. Inside the villa, he only heard Tang Yuren finish Sunny Day, praised her warmly, and then picked up a guitar to play 7 Mile Fragrance for her. In his last life, he had learned guitar for Lin Yue, but this time, the song belonged to the girl listening with her chin in her hands and her eyes full of impossible softness. They moved to the home theater next, where Chen Hao chose a movie at random and immediately regretted trusting fate with the remote. The film filled the screen with one passionate kiss after another, turning the quiet room thick with embarrassment until both of them sat stiffly through the ending, pretending their racing hearts were none of their business. By the time Chen Hao left, it was already late. He rode home humming, only to meet Chen Guohai's teasing suspicion and Luo Yulan's protective defense. His parents warned him to know his limits, and Chen Hao accepted it without argument. They were not trying to chain him down. They were making sure happiness did not outrun responsibility. The next morning, Chen Hao, Tang Yuren, and Zhou Kai took the final written driving exam and all received their licenses on the spot. Their instructor, delighted by the easiest trio he had ever taught, dropped them near a restaurant but refused to join the meal, wisely escaping before becoming the third wheel at his own celebration. Over lunch, Zhou Kai thanked Chen Hao for helping him score higher than expected and decided to apply for electrical automation at Guangzhou Institute of Technology. Chen Hao chose computer science at South China University of Technology, partly for his future app plans and partly to build connections with talented classmates. Tang Yuren followed her own dream at last and chose horticulture at South China Agricultural University. The three submitted their applications at a nearby internet cafe, then played a few carefree matches together. Tang Yuren knew almost nothing about the game, but with Chen Hao carrying the bottom lane, even losing skill could somehow become winning fun. By evening, Jiang Ning picked them up and dropped Chen Hao and Zhou Kai near their community before taking Tang Yuren home. Chen Hao went straight back to deliveries, but at dinner he told his parents the family needed to hire a delivery worker. He was heading to Guangzhou soon to help Chen Feng with wholesale, and the small family shops could no longer depend on him alone. Chen Guohai and Luo Yulan agreed. Delivery had doubled their profit even after wages, and Chen Hao's path was already widening beyond the family storefront. The applications were submitted, the license was in hand, and Guangzhou was now waiting. The next day, Chen Hao was freed from deliveries after one morning, because Chen Guohai had hired a young man from their community to handle the route. The new worker knew the area well, and Tang Yuren was delighted when Chen Hao told her, because she had hated watching him grind himself down under the summer heat. That afternoon, Tang Yuren invited him to romantic beach in the neighboring county. Jiang Ning drove them there, and before they stepped onto the sand, Tang Yuren carefully sprayed Chen Hao with sunscreen and put a sun hat on him, protecting him with the seriousness of someone guarding a national treasure. They walked barefoot along the silver-white beach, letting the sea breeze cool the day. Chen Hao took photos of Tang Yuren as sunlight caught her hair, and the pictures came out so beautiful that she promised to print some for him. He wanted far more than a few, so she made him earn them by taking more, and soon the beach was filled with her laughter and his camera clicks. Tang Yuren also photographed Chen Hao, then pulled Jiang Ning in to take pictures of them together. Each shot brought them closer, her head leaning toward him and his shoulder tilting toward hers, until the photos looked less like memories being made and more like proof of something neither of them had fully named. They walked into the shallow waves, joking and splashing along the shoreline. When Chen Hao's gaze wandered toward women in swimsuits, Tang Yuren caught him instantly, her jealousy soft but unmistakable. She teased him with the possibility of wearing one herself, then ran away laughing when he admitted far too quickly that he wanted to see it. As evening fell, they sat together on the sand and watched the sun sink into the sea. Chen Hao said he wanted to watch a sunrise with her someday, and Tang Yuren looked forward to doing it once university gave them more freedom. For now, the promise remained simple and bright, waiting just beyond the horizon. After sunset, they ate seafood nearby, and Chen Hao secretly paid the bill before Tang Yuren could stop him. Then Zhou Kai sent a smug photo from behind the wheel of his family's Lexus, showing off his new license. Chen Hao answered by taking his own photo with Jiang Ning's car keys, and returned the challenge without a single word wasted. Tang Yuren asked to practice driving too, and Jiang Ning agreed only if she could sit in the passenger seat and supervise. Chen Hao drove first with the ease of an old hand, surprising Jiang Ning again, then let Tang Yuren take over on a quiet road. With the two of them switching seats along the way, they slowly drove back toward U City, carrying the sea wind, the sunset, and one more shared future between them. After Jiang Ning dropped Chen Hao at his community, he went home, showered, and teased Tang Yuren over messages about the swimsuit she had promised to show him. She refused with playful stubbornness, and the more he pretended to suffer, the more happily she dodged him. When Chen Guohai and Luo Yulan came home from the shop around 10, Chen Hao urged them to stop working so late and let the new delivery worker, Su Yang, handle more responsibility once he knew the stores better. He promised that he would soon earn enough to let them live comfortably in a big city villa, but Chen Guohai grounded him with a father's caution, reminding him to study first and not chase grand dreams before they had substance. Chen Hao accepted the warning, then told them he would likely go to Guangzhou in the next few days. Luo Yulan worried over the dangers of a big city. Chen Guohai told him to keep in touch often, and Chen Hao understood their concern. This time, leaving home was not an escape from failure. It was the first step toward building something real. Back in his room, Tang Yuren invited him to her house the next morning so she could teach him to swim. Chen Hao agreed far too quickly for a man claiming pure athletic interest, and on the other side of the screen Tang Yuren buried her burning face in a pillow, shy and happy at once. The next morning, Chen Hao helped at the shop, grabbed his swim trunks and rushed to Binjiang Community. Tang Yuren waited at the gate with her hands behind her back, too embarrassed to meet his eyes, then rode with him back to the villa. At the indoor pool, Chen Hao changed first and waited with his bare upper body exposed from years of basketball. Tang Yuren arrived carrying her swimsuit, tried to hide her blush behind the fabric while still peeking at him, and hurried into the changing room when he caught her looking. Inside, she rejected the bolder swimsuit at once and chose a simple pure white one-piece. Yet even that felt daring when she imagined standing before him. It took all her courage to step out. Chen Hao froze the moment he saw her. Tang Yuren lowered her head, shy but secretly pleased by his stunned silence, while he finally recovered enough to praise her beauty with complete sincerity. The air around the pool turned warm enough that Tang Yuren quickly suggested they start swimming, because water suddenly seemed like the only safe place left. Tang Yuren reminded Chen Hao to cool his body before entering the pool, but he still dove in with the excitement of someone who had been waiting all night. She followed more carefully, swimming toward him while he watched from the edge, stunned again by how bright and graceful she looked in the water. His praise made her shy, so he broke the tension by splashing her. Tang Yuren fought back at once, and the indoor pool filled with laughter as they chased each other through the water like two people briefly allowed to forget everything outside the villa walls. Jiang Ning did not forget. She appeared again and again with water, snacks, fruit, and any excuse that let her check the pool every few minutes. Chen Hao understood perfectly, so after half an hour he led Tang Yuren out before her bodyguard's patience turned into a security incident. He climbed out first and offered Tang Yuren his hand. She took it, and when he pulled her up, they ended up close enough to feel each other's breath. For a dangerous heartbeat, neither moved, his hand still holding hers and her strength melting under his gaze. Jiang Ning's deliberate cough shattered the moment. Tang Yuren fled in panic, accidentally ran into Chen Hao's changing room, then escaped even faster to her own, while Chen Hao hurried away under Jiang Ning's icy stare. After changing, Tang Yuren came out with wet hair wrapped in a towel. Chen Hao offered to dry it for her, then gently combed his fingers through her hair as warm air moved over it. The quiet care made her smile, and while he worked, he told her he planned to leave for Guangzhou the next morning. Tang Yuren immediately said she would go too and let him ride with her. She wanted to see the campus early, explore Guangzhou together, and even offered one of her family's apartments for him to stay in. Chen Hao refused with a laugh, knowing her father might personally hunt him down if he accepted, and reassured her that he would only stay with Chen Feng for a month before university began. When her hair was dry, Tang Yuren made him sit and dried his hair in return, her hands moving softly enough to turn a simple favor into another memory neither of them wanted to end. They talked a little longer in the living room before Chen Hao finally went home. At lunch, he told Chen Guohai and Luo Yulan he would leave for Guangzhou the next morning. His parents could not stop him, so they decided to send him off the only way they knew how, by preparing a proper feast before their son stepped into the wider world.